Hi everyone. A lot of people have written into me and said they read instructions in recipes that talk about folding ingredients and they didn't know what that meant or how to do it or why it was important. So I thought I would just do a little video to show you that, so that any recipe you see on your travels that calls for folding, you'll know exactly what that is and how to do it and why. So what I have here is I have some of my magical almond custard. The recipe for that we'll link to below. If you haven't seen that video and you haven't seen that recipe, the links are below so you can do that. So here I have almond custard, and here I have heavy whipping cream, which I have whipped until it's stiff. Okay, now this is just an example to show you the technique of folding. It doesn't matter what the ingredients are, but typically when instructions call for folding, that is because one of the ingredients that you're using, you have just spent a bunch of effort putting air into it. So the reason that whipped cream goes like that is because you've incorporated a ton of air through whipping. The same with egg whites. You've incorporated a ton of air by whipping them to make them that big, glorious, frothy mass. Those are two very typical ingredients that you need to fold into another component. And the reason why folding is important is because you need to mix these nice fluffy aerated substances like heavy whipping cream or egg whites into something denser. You don't want to do it in such a way that you knock out all of the air that you've just spent time and energy putting in. So that's what folding is all about. It is incorporating two mixtures together in such a way as to not knock out all the air that you've just spent putting in. So just for this example, I have got custard, which is cold. It's been left to chill, so this is cold custard, not hot. And then here I've got my heavy whipping cream, which I have whipped to stiff peaks, and I am going to dollop all of my whipped substance in there. And then this is the, I hope you can see I did it in a glass bowl. This is the typical technique for folding, is cutting and then round, cutting and then round. And you want to do this slowly and gently. If you just beat that up, you're going to knock out half of the air was in the cream or egg or whatever it is, and you won't get the light, airy result that the recipe intended that you would have. So folding is something that you might find in recipes for mousse or for recipes that use whipped egg whites to act as an aeration, or in things like this where you're incorporating a cream into a custard to make it lighter and airier. But this is the basic technique: round the edge, cut through the middle, fold, turn, fold, turn. So that, and you'll notice that I'm being very gentle, I'm being very slow, I'm being very deliberate, and I'm being very light. And it does take a minute, but you just keep going like that, gently, slowly, until all of your whipped product, be it cream or egg whites, is fully incorporated, so that you can no longer see one or the other. It's just fully incorporated into the mixture. The other place where you may see recipes that call for folding this technique is if you've say got a cake batter where you have whipped together the sweetener and the eggs, which has then through whipping become very thick and frothy. Then when you add your nut flours, you would use this same technique to carefully fold the nut flours or the dry ingredients into your fluffy aerated eggs and sweetener or whatever it is. You would use this exact same technique, round the edge to stir, carefully fold it over, then cut through the middle. And that is folding. That's the how and why of folding, and you just keep going until you can no longer see any of the stripes of the thing you're trying to mix in the mixture. This is nearly done, but I think you've got the idea, is that now, but you still, and you can actually feel, you can still feel the frothiness and the airiness of this because we haven't beaten it together. And you just keep going until everything's fully incorporated. And if this seems like a bit of a process, that it takes a bit of time, it does. But if you don't fold or you just mix it in, you're going to get a much flatter, denser, whatever it is you're trying to create. So that's just about done, and that is how and why you fold. Happy folding!